Hello everyone, welcome back to some more of The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, I guess you could say we kind of started the trial off, hearing about essentially what Van Zeke said from his point of view and what happened there, and then we moved on to why essentially that was, why Asogi thought it was a lie, because of what these witnesses are saying. And yeah. Anywho, I guess let's kind of just get started. You don't get right into things. Let's see. The last thing that happened was that as Gossip was giving his testimony, he mentioned a notice board full of stuff, and what ended up happening was apparently when he came in, he tripped and fell into a pile of blood and left the handprint here from the board, which would mean the board was on the ground. And if we look at the plans, the board would have had to been on the ground right here, meaning when Van Zieks walked in, he wouldn't have been able to see the body. But when Gossip shoved the door in, the thing would have been knocked over and the body would have been visible. So, the question is, for that to happen, the board would have to be over here. Yet, when we come to explore the crime scene, it is all the way over here. How exactly does that happen? Do the board's legs just move and walk away or something? So that is where we are now. And so, with that being said, I guess let's continue and see their explanation on just how exactly the notice board just up and moved. The mystery of the moving board. I don't know anything about that there notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time. I don't know anything about anything. I'm I standard me. It's just fine at the crossroads of life. It was that raper, I bet. You got a face that screams bored. I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when we heard the gunshots. So, none of you can elaborate further. Shaken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see. We can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened. That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think. Do you? Really? In any way, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could have possibly committed this crime is Barrack Van Zieks. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Quite so, quite so. Does the defense have the wish to cross-examine the witnesses despite the circumstances? Most certainly, my lord. Very well. Then you may proceed, counsel. Alright, so. Let's see. Just wipe my hand on it. Doing business with some second years at the time. Bystander. Well. Huh. It was that Reaper. He got a face that screams bored. Huh. Wait, isn't that a lie? Wait a second. Whoa. She was doing business with some second years, but then she heard the gunshot. Didn't she, wasn't she involved in this? Wasn't she one of the witnesses? Then hold it! When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's the Priory School just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to Kingdom Come. Ah. So, I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everyone's happy, see? What a racket. Of course, and sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting them know. It's a busy old life, selling explosives. Venus is a guileful goddess indeed. Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it. You got something to say to that?
Excuse me!
Something wrong, Mr. Sandwich?
If I said I was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it?
No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Let's say there was a great liar, and that great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too? Or the truth? In which case she's not a liar. Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one. Don't you think?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But, seems to me you're suggesting that Miss Venus has been lying, are you? What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and send them off. That'll give you something to tremble about.
You have a startling, disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady.
So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich?
Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Can you elaborate, please, sir?
Old Blabbermouth here, headed for the room where the gunshot seems to come from. But there was somebody else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, how are you selling stuff to kids when you heard the gunshot and you were one of the witnesses? Like...
Do you mean to say that you did in fact take yourself to the scene of the crime after all?
What did I tell you, huh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I? Yes, you mentioned it. Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Who knew firecrackers pack such a punch?
So, you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief!
Well, now that you come to mention it, I suppose that perhaps I do clearly remember climbing the stairs of the room, yeah? Either you clearly remember it or you don't.
Well, I shall consider it a fitting punishment for this perjurous act later. For the time being, You will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth.
Oh, yes, my lord, of course. Maybe I did sneak behind gossip and have a little peek into the room where it all happened. Okay. And what else did you do after that? Did you do anything else, or what? You make a habit of lying, don't you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Alright. But you did in fact go into the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you? Oh, please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying.
The truth, please.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know? Did you touch anything at the scene? Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, if there was a dead body on the floor.
The truth, please.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I'd look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I did give the place a once-over, but it was nothing to write home about. Right. Now, I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had.
The truth, please.
Well, alright then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flippin' thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing.
You're telling us that you didn't move that board?
I think that this about, didn't it? Yeah? What? You daft bomblet!
I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think.
So, did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps? To sell? Oh, please. I should be so lucky.
The truth now.
I might have found this old pocket watch underneath the notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't be worth much if you... So it was you, wasn't it? You're the one what took it. Gina?
Young lady, may I remind you of where you are?
That watch. That watch there. I was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big old case he solved 10 years ago. The professor case, no doubt. The boss used it to wind up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his grub to come out the pub. I see. I swiped it off him once and blimey he was upset. He gave me a right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for then. It's not all that though. I took it to Jabez's that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked about and worthless, he called it. I know I should have lifted it. Wait, if it's not working, then it could have broken at the time of the crime.
That watch must be submitted as evidence at once.
Oh, please, just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done. It wasn't yours to begin with. Not a chance. I'll swap it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again.
That's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith.
Now, children, watch your manners.
Good Lord! The glass appears to be broken. More than a little. Likely, it shattered when the inspector was shot.
It doesn't tick anymore either. So that's the time of death. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, huh?
Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5.
Exactly when the gunshot was heard then. What kind of 5? 5 a.m. or 5 p.m.? Because that could mean the world of difference.
Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course.
Alright, let me actually see. Let me actually look inside it.
Well, it would appear that the mystery of the moving notice board has been solved, at least.
At 5 o'clock, huh? The glass over the face... Sorry, I just noticed something. The glass over the face is really badly cracked. Look.
What a shame when the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully.
I imagine Mr. Sholmes could repair it, don't you?
Yes, I should think so.
He's very adept at things like this. A useful man to have around, in fact.
But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Mr. Naruhodo. Not an all-job man.
What is this? There's a tiny little stub still sticking out from this small hole here. Look.
I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time.
In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of this watch, it probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it?
Yes, of course.
It could mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene, maybe. Interesting. Is there, oh! There's this. Ah, there's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see?
Ah, yes. That's probably for the winder to use to wind up the mechanism.
It looks a little unusual, though, don't you think?
Yes. You need just the right key to wind it up, I imagine.
I think we have that key.
It would be wonderful if we have the key. Let's check carefully over what we already found.
I'm pretty sure we do, because we saw something look like a key before, I believe, right? Yeah. If we twist the head... a key pops out. It's tiny, though. Guess we have to examine it. Mrs. Sato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch?
Oh, yes, it could be.
Let's try it at once. It's not a moment to lose. Yeah, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. A perfect fit.
And look, the inspector's watch has started going again.
Ah, so it's just not been wound up, that's all. Then, wait, so he winds up every day or so? Because by that logic, this really could be 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. that he died. Matter of fact, no. If it was just the winding part that was broken, it could have been broken the day before and nobody realized it, right? Because if that watch got broken the day before, then he would have still had it on his body and... What? Yeah. What is it, Mr. Sato?
Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I have a feeling it could have profound implications, like I just said, yeah.
That watch could have been just... Wait, but yeah, but that logic... Inspector Gregson could have been killed at literally any time. Because all that's happened is the watch didn't magically fix itself, so he could have been killed at that time that day or before that day, I think. Well, maybe not before that day, but that same day. Wow. That's crazy.
And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Ugh.
Now then, continue with the cross-examination, please, counsel.
Oh. Yeah, here it is. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot. That isn't actually true. Because if the watch isn't broken, he could have died any time that day or even possibly even the day before.
Objection!
I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case.
Oh.
At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch.
A key?
And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built.
What?
Order! Order! But, counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock.
Yeah, which is just when we heard that gunshot. It is.
It is exactly the hour.
The time that was showing on this watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Objection!
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when this crime was committed.
Objection!
No, that doesn't hold.
Why not?
Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the watch timepiece on the evening before he died as well.
Yes, that would be entirely reasonable.
But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day. Oh, how do you explain it then? In summary, the evening before the day of the incident when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch.
You can't mean...
What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. That throws this entire case off balance, though.
Order! Order! Counsel! That is a most extraordinary claim.
Objection!
Extraordinary isn't the word. It's absurd. You claim he was already dead the night before? Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that?
Wait, didn't Dr. Scythe go to jail? They don't have a coroner. On that subject, there's something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. There is? Where? Oh! No time of death. They literally don't know when he died. Yeah, they see shot in the chest, instant death. There's no time of death at all. I never noticed that. Wow. The time of death is not noted. Ah, that's right. Wait a minute. You're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in. What do you mean? Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty great puddle of blood.
Yes. So the victim's blood hadn't dried. It was fresh.
He catches on fast, doesn't he?
Objection!
But that blood could be explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body after he...
Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? I mean, it kinda is, if you're willing to. Well, never mind.
Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human.
The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities.
So then, a chicken's blood could have been used for example. It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection!
But the gunshot we heard was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question.
Is it though?
What?
Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realm of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all. Oh, please. What are you trying to say? Us lot know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from that there room.
No, you! Listen to me! The street seller's ears are his livelihood.
I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can say with certainty is that you heard a noise.
Huh? Explain yourself then, Counsel.
A noise that sounds like a gunshot could have been made with, well, as we saw last time, the fireworks, of course. If someone blows out 100 of them all at once, it could easily just sound like a gunshot.
Take that!
Something like this. The culprit could have set one of these to fake a gunshot.
Good gracious! The very fireworks that are sold by the witness?
Now hold on a minute. Are you saying that I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See? Not 100 of them together. The Venus special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact.
You're trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene?
I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day, and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear.
Objection!
But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gunshot or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Barack Van Zeeks.
One whiff of a match and my firecrackers go pop. See? That's why people like them.
I fear for your fingers, young lady.
Objection!
Recently during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. Something called a time bomb.
Good heavens! A bomb?
Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Mr. Naruhodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident. No. Oh, wait, it's the whenever you like part that's important.
A time device?
Yes, exactly, a time device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left.
Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, Counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was employed to create the gunshot sound?
I don't know. Time device. candles? Because, I mean, the candles will burn out eventually. Maybe that's a timer, maybe... Oh, snap, wait a second. What if someone used the firecrackers, wrapped it around one of the candles, and when one of the candles burned down enough, the flame would light the fuse, blowing up the candle, making it look like there was a gunshot. Oh, that's smart. Oh, that's smart. Right?
Take that!
Yeah! Whoa, that is smart. Wow, that was actually a nice puzzle right there. Good job, developers. As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candelabrum has already been blown off.
Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim.
I don't think that's possible, my lord.
Not possible? Why?
Because of the scorching.
There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken candle. There are? Oh, goodness, yes, but this is not the case. But there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound?
That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. Which means that the scorching on the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot.
You're suggesting it came from the fireworks?
Oh, can that be, eh?
The fact that there's such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or to put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. The culprits somehow attached the fireworks at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left, Sorry guys, it's 10:40 now, so yeah, I'm tired. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse with the firecrackers generating a loud and that is how these three witnesses came to believe they had heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock.
Well, what a plot. And this implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe. The previous day, even.
Now just hold on your horses.
All of us lot here saw the victim go into the building, remember? I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair even if I wanted to.
The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anyone can wear a wig. So, the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely, wearing the red hairpiece.
Someone else? Do you mean to say...
It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer.
Oh, very impressive, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Kazuma?
I'm really quite amazed you've come this far. But, after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I also noticed the lack of a time of death in this report. A stark omission. But, as far as I'm concerned, this whole country system leaves a lot to be desired. This whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, you say this in front of the entire judiciary?
Order! Order! Prosecutor Asogi, what on earth do you mean by that statement?
I hear that many of the leading members of the British judiciary are present to observe this trial today. So, we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. But, while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct...
What was that? Sorry for a second.
But, while the possibility of my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it. That's the Asogi voice I remember.
We just need like a laugh to do this.
Well, certainly, I would agree with you.
And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing, and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard.
Even within
the yard?
However, considering the evidence that we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what the case the man was pursuing. Wouldn't you, my learned friend?
I do have a feeling about what case he might have been investigating. Yes, I agree. Surely. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death.
Very well. Counsel, present your argument to me, to the court. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the inspector on the day prior to the incident?
Right here. The Red-Headed League.
Take that!
I believe this red hairpiece points to the answer. We might assume it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation.
Surely not. Surely such a brightly covered hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable.
Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except, that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League.
The Red-Headed League?
So, you'd already worked it out.
What on earth is this all about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen?
The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception.
A deception of what nature, Counsel?
Robbing a bank? They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money. 2 men were arrested for misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact.
My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once.
The 2 redheads?
Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece. So it's very likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events.
I concur that we cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored.
Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us at least.
The prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 red-headed league conspirators before me, Prosecutor Asogi.
Yep, I'm getting tired. If I'm getting words wrong, that legitimately means I'm getting tired. Well.
At once, my lord.
Very good. You'll have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned.
Alright, earliest save file is number 4. Unlucky number 4. Great. Oh well. I've had a pretty lucky day so far, so I think I'm good enough. 2nd of November, 12:33 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, there you are, Otto. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Sholmes, Gina. You sure about what you said in there? That the boss, you know, actually died the day before? It's pretty odd to swallow. Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I, possibly more shocked than both of you. It's not a competition, Mr. Sholmes. But I was more shocked than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yes. It's strange that there's no time of death noted. I suppose there's a simple explanation. Or perhaps, it was a deliberate omission. Oh dear. If it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on. And Dr. Scythe. Yes, it's pronounced Dr. Scythe, not Dr. Seethe. I know. Anyway, it seems like on the day before Van Zieks discovered the body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League. So perhaps something happened with them. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masked the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The 2 criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean. That's right, Zeus, and it was me what took them in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-abiding citizen. Indeed, yours truly. So it's going to be that pair on the witness stand next, is it? Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before the Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the Inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. Don't tar with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yes, well, then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zieks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zieks, and Cosima. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. What's he really trying to achieve here today? All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Cosmo was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial, and he was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it that he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Because we are. Are you ready then, Mr. Sato? Yes. 2nd of November, 1 p.m., the Old Bailey's courtroom.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Barrett Van Zeeks, here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Osogi.
My lord,
Have you summoned the witnesses as requested?
yes, the two members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception.
They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage.
Very good.
Very good. Bailiff, usher the two men into the courtroom.
Yes, these two.
These two men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but state your names now for the court.
I am Fabien de Rousseau, a descendant of the great Rousseau family from Nice in France. And my name is Peppino de Rossi. The most stereotypical accent I can give him. I am the third son of the great Familia de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli.
The two men first became acquainted at a boarding school for the European nobility.
Those who graduate from Temsig are the future leaders of Europe. But, do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alas, I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception that you've been carrying out? Oui, you could say that. Not too bad, eh? He has the grand ideals, but the petty plans. The strange combination is the charm of the hairless brothers. Hilarious brothers? See, couple? Listen to me, Peppino. I have two things to say to you. Eh? Sure? You better tell us one of your grand anecdotes? Viva! Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this capo. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business. Pero, there it is, the capo's trump card, the furrowed brow. It is a deep, huh, capo? The furrow and the meaning of your words.
The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true?
Oui, c'est ça.
And what exactly was the nature of your deception by which you planned to defraud?
Alas, I'll explain it. No, capo, leave it up to me. As you see, we both have the red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse, crying like the Trevelyan fountain. Where those dogs, one says the word will respect us redheads. Every night, he would bury his head in the pillow and "C'est bien, Peppino, enough. I'll explain the rest." The first step was a newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into motion, but we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, however, I believe, entitled to the Red-Headed League. Oui, c'est ça. I am honored that you have seen it. It states that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair. and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted to the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4.
On the date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at the Potter Park specified in the advertisement.
And from each person present, the pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with this money, to France. It is a plan most elegant, non?
No, it was most dishonorable. But, to be frank, I'm stunned anyone was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick.
The park was described as one by witness as choke with red-headed folk like a coaster's orange barrow.
And on the day in which all of these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered.
Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person that day. Oui, I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see for the rest of my life. See, and now, every time I go see the couple's hair, I feel sick to my stomach.
Anyway, why have we been summoned here today?
Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told.
You didn't tell him?
Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial.
Why?
They've only been shown this photograph.
Very good. So, Mr. DeRosso and Mr. DeRossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in the photograph.
Of course, we are always ready to obey the law. Alright. And I think this is a good place to end things off. So yeah, next time, we'll see what these two red-headed numbskulls have to say for themselves. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.